All right, welcome everyone to our Power Players XanthoMyst team call. So exciting to say that for me. You know, we've been a Power Players team for a long time, many of us, and we've been, mangosteen, 21 years of mangosteen experiences and stories. And it was an amazing experience bringing mangosteen to market for the first time 21 years ago. And it's even more exciting for me now to be bringing the next generation of a mangosteen product with today's technology that wasn't even available until very recently. So it's exciting for me on multiple levels. One, of course, is I love mangosteen. It's changed my life. It's changed the lives of tens of thousands of people all around the world. The stories have been amazing. But to be able to bring the next gen, the latest generation product, the highest technology, the newest technology, a product that is able to give us even more of these powerful xanthones into our body, even more quickly than ever before, and absorbing so fast and just so much more potency. And it's exciting for me to be able to bring something new to market, but more exciting that my business partner, who I learned about mangosteen from really 21 years ago, is also part of this journey. And so I'd like to introduce everyone tonight to Dr. Fred Templeman, who, and I didn't pull up your bio right now, I should have it memorized, right?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but it kind of does for folks that don't know you. This is a man who didn't even go to medical school till in his 30s, and who was a practicing MD for years and years before he ever heard about mangosteen, and then brought mangosteen into his practice. And in doing so, was able to help patients get off, I believe it's 17 different types of medications as a result of the benefits that they experienced with this amazing product. And his passion grew to the point that he kind of put that practice, retired, but not really, because you're still an active practicing doctor, but you're really just practicing for his very large family, 10 children, 44 grandchildren. So he's definitely still a very active physician in his own family, and I'm sure many, many friends as well. But he started traveling the world and traveling to Thailand. He went to where mangosteen is grown. He went to laboratories where mangosteen was being developed, or it was being extracted, this pericarp and these xanthones. And he is the world's leading authority on this mangosteen fruit and the health benefits, in my opinion. So Doc, I would love for you just to start out, introduce yourself a little bit, and tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey with mangosteen, and why everyone should be using mangosteen.
Well, I think I'd probably start out by saying that, as you mentioned, I didn't go to medical school till I was 36. And so I had an opportunity to sort of be immersed in life. I was in the diplomatic corps. I had lived in 7 different countries. And there was a lot that had gone under the bridge before I went to medical school. And that means that I was really sure that I wanted to go to medical school. A lot of kids, would like to be a doctor or have an idea of what they want to do young in life. And they follow right through and go ahead and do that. But I think they miss out a little bit on life if they don't get some of the variety that life will allow you. So I lived in the third world. And by this, I mean in countries where when someone was sick, if you were a member of the normal population and not the elite, you did not have the opportunity to go and see a doctor as we would think of a doctor. You were going to be treated by someone who had learned perhaps massage, because massage was one of the things that universally throughout the different countries would be used when people were ill. You would probably be treated by an herbalist who had learned from, usually within their own family, a skill that was passed down from generation to generation, or you would be treated not at all. And so, as strange as that may seem, that's still what a third of the world deals with. They do not get a chance to sit down with doctors who have been able to go to universities and to medical schools, etc. And in some ways, that may be an advantage. So I had seen before I went to a standard medical school and learned how to use what doctors use, which is a prescription pad and a pen and drugs, unless you're a surgeon. And so I did everything that regular doctors did, but I had this background. And when I almost killed a young man, not a child, and by the way, most doctors do not know who they've killed. In my case, he happened to be in the hospital, and it was a drug overdose, not that he had taken himself, but that a doctor had prescribed for him, not me, but a specialist. And he arrested. And that shook up my world as well as his. We were able to get him back, so he's still alive and doing well today. But he was lucky that he was in the hospital and that I kept him there after he came back from the specialist who had given him 3 times the upper limit of the recommended amount of an antidepressant because he'd attempted suicide. And that made me really think twice about the beginning of the famous sort of oath that all doctors take, the Hippocratic Oath, which begins by saying, first, do no harm. And unfortunately, here in North America, where drugs are so prominent and really are the basis of most primary care, it's the number 3rd cause of death after heart disease, which is number 1, and cancer, which is number 2. The adverse effects of drugs and the drug-drug interactions are the 3rd largest cause of death. And so I started looking at what I might be able to do to help all these people who were coming through the door because they were not doing well. And I was now hesitant to use all drugs the way that I had been encouraged to do in medical school. And so I began to look at alternatives, and not simply alternatives for things that we would ingest, but alternatives for ways to be treated. And I firmly believe that all of the information is not in one place. And regardless of how experienced or how confident a doctor might be, he doesn't know it all. And the same would be true of a chiropractor, or the same would be true of a massage therapist, or any one of the numerous therapists who do have a legitimate role to play in bringing all that the universe has to the bedside or to the assistance of someone whose body is not working well. And it takes a lot to put a body out of whack in a serious way. So I started looking at other things and became kind of an expert in what are called biologicals, meaning things which come from the earth and from plants, are derived from plants. And I used them and I prescribed them just like I did medicine. In fact, I was able to replace, as Collie told you, a number of medications that I used on a regular basis with a single supplement. And that's what made me so interested in the mangosteen. It was very broad in its application. You know that drugs are not terribly broad. We try to make them as narrow as possible. If we can go into the body and interfere in one single enzymatic process, like a silver bullet, that's what we try to do, but it doesn't work. We always have what are called side effects, and some of them are deadly, and virtually every drug, improperly used, and even properly used, can be deadly. That is not the case with supplements. Supplements are not deadly on their own. They can interact with the drugs that we give people, and that is a cause of concern. But by themselves, they've been used by thousands of different, I would call them natural medical paradigms. in all kinds of countries, and people are not stupid. So if they're using something for 100 years and millions of people have used it, it isn't going to kill you and it's going to work. So those are the best absolute proofs. And therefore, if you can find supplements which have had this utility in multiple places, then you know you're onto something that is good. And that's what I believe. That's what I've done throughout my practice, using drugs where I couldn't use anything else. And when I could use anything else but drugs, I used something else.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What an amazing journey you have. I don't think there's another doctor like you. And how true is that in your 30s, you're doing it because it's really something you feel called to do, not because mom and dad's going to pay the bills or get the loan or whatever it is when you're young. But you have changed the lives of so many people. And what I love about our business the most, our industry of network marketing, is that I might only have personally shared a mangosteen story with 100 people, maybe 10 people, maybe 1,000 people. But whatever that number is, when they tell their friends who tell their friends who tell their friends, all of a sudden there's some little boy's life who was just saved because somebody introduced something to him that might have started with you. And the power of that hit me over 30 years ago. And it's why I do what I do, for sure. You have touched so many lives through the information that you share, because so many people share your personal stories. And tonight's call is being recorded, and we'll have the access to the video to be able to share with people who are not on tonight, or maybe not part of our business. Maybe we haven't even met them yet, but there's somebody out there waiting for this story, for their own personal health benefits, as well as the lives that they can touch by sharing. So, Doc, what I was most impressed with about the mangosteen when I first heard the story was how many different systems in the body the mangosteen benefited. Like, it almost seems like, and the superfruit, yes, that was a term that was coined because there really is no other way to describe it. But can you just tell us, for those that are new and don't really know what kind of benefits to even expect, what mangosteen has done in the past, and what you see with this particular product's delivery system of XanthoMyst, what we're going to be doing in the future?
Yes. I think I'll tell another little story. In my practice, I was practicing in southern Georgia. And in my practice, which included many hundreds of people, I had about 15 people that I didn't seem to be able to help. In other words, they obviously wanted help from me because they kept coming back again and again and again. And I'd tried drugs, I'd tried other modalities, and I just wasn't able to help these people. And each time they came to see me, they were sort of hoping that something new had come onto the marketplace, either a drug or some technology that would help them. And so when I started to see the tremendous effects of this single, in this case, it was a drink, in this single thing that we didn't even have a name for at that time, we called it jungle juice. I brought in those, I called those 15 people, and 11 of them came in, and I gave them the mangosteen and an adequate amount of it, because there wasn't enough to go around very much to anybody at that time. But I gave them an adequate amount of it, and I asked them to come back after 2 weeks of using it, and I spoke to them sometimes during that 2-week period. Now, these were people who had problems that nothing had been able to help. And of the 11, all of them felt a difference in the energy that they were experiencing, every one of them. And of the 11, 8 of them had some fairly tangible, really important to them change in the complaints that they had because of the chronic illnesses they were suffering. And that was remarkable to me. When you think that drugs are probably on average about 30% effective, in other words, if you treat 10 people with a given drug, even a good drug, about 3 or 4 of them are going to respond in a favorable way. About 3 or 4 of them are going to respond in an unfavorable way, and the others will not be affected. And here was a supplement, very broad-based, affected everybody's system as well as I could tell. And I had 8 people out of 11 that responded in a very, very tangible way with something that I'd never been able to help. They had problems I'd never been able to help them with. So that was really important for me. And as you know, we went for a long time using that product, but about 5 to 7 years in, I was frustrated by the fact that some of the technological advances for which you must watch the pharmaceutical companies, because the pharmaceutical companies have the money to do research. The supplement companies simply do not. They can't be protected by patent because you cannot patent a natural product. And they are not gigantic. Companies like Pfizer have budgets that are larger than some world's gross national products. So that's really where all of the research gets done. And so it behooves the whole world to watch what they're developing, especially when it comes to technologies. And there's a general purpose technology. And what I mean by general purpose technology is it's a technology that's going to change the way you do everything, literally. So, for example, the commonest known general purpose technology in recent years has been the computer. And the computer has changed the way everything is done. It's changed the way we make love. It's changed the way we seek entertainment. It's changed the way, literally, we do business, war, everything. And that's what a general purpose technology does. And nanotechnology, or the ability to take a substance and reduce it to particles that are so small that they are the size of viruses. Obviously, it can't be seen, but at that size, they can enter directly into a cell. And that is really what's important when you think about either a drug or a supplement. It can't do much when it's not inside the mechanism that runs the body. And the body is nothing more. Well, that's you should never degrade the body in talking down about it. But the body is remarkable, but it's relatively simple in the fact that the engine for the whole body in every system is the cell. And everything that's important happens inside the cell, essentially. So you have to get whatever you're going to be giving the body to work with, whether that's a food, a nutrient, or whether it's a drug or whatever it may be, you've got to be able to render that to the size that is going to be able to get into a cell. And size is not the only criteria, but size is by far the greatest criterion in determining whether something can make a difference in the body. And in the case of this technology, this nanotechnology, we used machines which could take pretty much anything at all. That's what general purpose means, and break it down so small that it's the size of a virus. And it becomes enormously more potent and least expensive. So you drop costs, you increase the power of what you're working with, and you can distribute it throughout the body in a way you never were able to do before. Because when you take, say, for example, you pick up a pill, a normal pill of vitamin C, which is going to be given to you in milligrams. Well, that vitamin C will be worked upon by the digestive tract of the body until it is rendered down to the size that will allow it to go out of the intestine into the bloodstream and be carried to the cell, and then to get inside the cell where it can do its work. And that, unfortunately, is a very perilous journey, and less than 5% of that will be absorbed and be able to get to the cells. So you think that little turtles have it bad when they go into the ocean and only a very few of them ever reach maturity. Think about all of the nutrients that you take into your body expressly to have an effect, and realize that only 5 to 7% of them are going to ever make it to where they have to make a difference. And so that's something that the nanotechnology has been able to rectify. And years ago, I knew about it. I watched what was happening in the drug industry. That was what I was using to a great extent to work with my patients. So I knew the progress that was being made. And I went to the people who were in the supplement industry and I said, hey, let's start taking advantage of this new technology. But new technology is disruptive and it's frightening. And the people that I spoke to were unwilling to take the chance of being able to risk something that was very good for them by taking a chance on doing something which would be better for them and their people. And so they didn't do it. But this company has taken that chance. And they're not alone. There have been many, many companies in the supplement industry who have realized absolutely that taking things to the nanoscale is going to make them able to be absorbed by the body, 20 times more effectively than they normally would. So this company is not a pioneer in that regard, but they certainly are a pioneer when it comes to doing it with the mangosteen, because there hasn't been any well accepted product out there made of the mangosteen that is made to the nanoscale and has all of these advantages that I've hinted at. It just hasn't been there. And now it is. Now, before I agreed to sort of cooperate and collaborate with them, I wanted to be absolutely certain that I would not be in a position where I was going to be asked to say something that was not true. And so I asked them to do some studies. And in fact, they're still doing studies that I have asked them to do. And they've been cooperative and they have done their best to do them the way that I wanted them done. And I am satisfied that we have a product now that is in a form that when you put it into your mouth, it's going to go through your buccal mucosa, through the skin, if you wish, of your throat, through the early part of your digestive tract, and into the bloodstream directly. It then goes and passes through the liver, where it is altered somewhat into a format that the cells will accept. And are we seeing differences in people who are using it this way rather than swallowing something into the digestive tract so that it goes all the way through? Yes, we are. Can I tell you yet exactly all of the things that we're going to see and what it will do? No, but soon I will be able to. It's difficult in our industry to collect evidence that is acceptable and is clean enough that you can draw conclusions from it. But it can be done. And that's what we're doing right now. But you don't need to wait to find out everything it can do. You can do a study of one. You can take it yourself. It's a simple thing to do. Just spray it in your mouth, let it get through your skin of your mouth and into your bloodstream, and then watch and see what the difference is in the way your body functions. Is there a favorable change in the things that you would want to have changed? And I'm convinced that we've seen enough already, even in these early days, to believe that this is going to be remarkable. The wonders of the mangosteen will be seen in the human body, because we're giving the body something that it wants, that it uses in multiple places and for multiple purposes. It's a nutrient, it's not a drug. It isn't to cure or to diagnose anything. It is to give something to the body that will let the body go about the business of fixing mistakes, problems, and difficulties that exist. And will it do that? I'm convinced it will.
That is awesome. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. Obviously, that's the way it was before man got really smart, and we came up with all these amazing technology, drugs and stuff that help. But boy, then the big pharma got involved, the money got involved, right? And then all of a sudden they want to just do that and forget about our roots, about, I've always believed, like, if God made it, eat it. If he didn't make it, be wise and make sure that tread very carefully. A couple things that were really impressed me when I read about this. So 30 some years ago, somebody shared proanthocyanidins, OPC, grapeseed extract, pine bark extract, this amazing super antioxidant that I had never heard of. And I started using it. I had incredible health benefits, and I've been using and sharing specifically proanthocyanidins for more than 30 years.
Be in the mangosteen in significant quantities.
And that's what I wanted you to share, because that's why when I saw mangosteen and heard the story, and I'm such a big one on antioxidants, I saw that in bigger quantities than anything I'd ever taken before. But it also had the catechins of green tea and the polysaccharides of aloe vera and all these other things that we know are healthy and beneficial and billion-dollar industries have been created on. And it also had these xantho molecules that I'd never heard of. And that was, of course, this story. But the fact that it has all of these additional incredible nutrients and the things that it can do in the body.
Almost makes you want to call it a superfruit.
Right? That's fantastic.
That's what Dr. Morton said when he came up with that. He's actually going through the elements, the nutritional elements that are found in this wonderful fruit, and he was enumerating them. And then he said, this is a superfruit. And after that, of course, the term got picked up. Everything was a superfruit, everything from pineapple to pawpaw. But this really is still the only supplement that has such a quantity and variety of elements that we know are beneficial for the body. It is different.
It is. In addition to these xanthone molecules that have all these incredible things. So when I was researching, and people ask all the time, will it help with this? Will it help with that? And I always say, just Google xanthone benefits for whatever you want to know and see what comes up. And there's these, National Institute of Health articles, and there's the PubMed articles and the Medline stuff, and all this research and documentation that I think there was only a few hundred stories 21 years ago, or papers that were published. Now it's like in the tens of thousands, I believe, and which is incredible.
Citations on Google Scholar.
Google Scholar.
Yeah.
How many?
So that's a database for scientific. There are many of them. Google Scholar, people may not have heard of that, but PubMed, most people have heard of, and there are a number of them, and they vary in the number of references that they have, but it's really very, very remarkable and important. But, and here's a big but, not all, even taken together, would suffice to let the government say this is a drug. It's not. Yeah. And it cannot, therefore, by definition, be used to diagnose, treat, heal anything which is called a disease. You just can't say that. If you say that, you can get in trouble, whether you're a company or whether you're an individual. You are able to talk about what it may have happened to you. The First Amendment lets you say everything that's true about your own personal experience. That freedom of speech is there, but you can't even talk about what it's done in somebody else. That they're the only ones that can do that. And you can't go out and say it will change this or it will change that when you're talking about illnesses that have names. All right. If you want to say you're going to feel better and you're not going to be experiencing some of the nastiness that you've experienced, you can promise people that they can try that and that that's likely an outcome, but you can't talk about it curing, treating, or anything to do with the disease. To do so is moving outside of the bounds of what these 26,000 papers, each one of them many thousands of dollars and hundreds, if not thousands of hours of work. So that's a considerable amount of knowledge, but not enough to be able to legally say that it can do what a drug can.
So another thing I heard about a drug is it has to be altered, right? It cannot be, it's natural. You can't take a natural product, a natural fruit, a natural botanical, a natural anything, no matter how many great the benefits are. You have to alter it chemically, man-made somehow, right? And then go through this extensive process, which takes more than a decade and an enormous amount of money and all of this. But there are drugs that have come out on the market with mangosteen in them, and more that are actually being developed because they recognize how powerful it is. So we know that they recognize the power.
In other countries, we don't have any here as yet, but there are products which are called drugs in Thailand that are used to treat acne, for example. And I know of the work that is going on in Thailand to develop substances which are modified but based on the mangosteen. And this is not surprising because up until a few years ago, a good 25 to 40% of all of our drugs were derived from nature. And all of the money that these universities in 16 different countries that I can remember, 16 different countries, universities are researching the mangosteen. They're not trying to do that to make a supplement. They're looking for something that they can make into a drug. And so they're looking for the actives which are in the mangosteen and seeing, can I make a drug out of this? Because there's lots of money to be made in drugs.
Yes, there is. All right. To respect our time frame here, I want to shift gears for just a second before we get to testimonials and questions. We got some questions in the Q&A. You can take a look at some of those. We're gonna get to some of them that are appropriate for everybody, and then specific ones that are just not okay. You can kind of have a one-on-one call with Dr. Templeman about. But this call is kind of like for us to, for a general population, right? And so I do want to say this, as a associate of CTFO, I not only get the great benefits of being able to buy this product at wholesale, and because I'm on Smart Ship, I actually get 20% off, which is amazing. So I can get it. I can get the XanthoMyst if I buy a 2-pack of XanthoMyst. It's discounted to $150. If I get on auto ship, 10% off that, it's $135 for my first 2 shipments. And starting on my 3rd shipment, it's only $120. That's $60. So if you're a couple, that's a month's supply for both of you, you're done. If you're a single, you got one for yourself and one to share. And that's what I want to talk about for a minute, is the marketing end of it. I love what I do so much because I would never do a business where I made money at the expense of other people. But to earn an income and a lifestyle by helping other people, that's just a win-win. Like no matter what, if you're on these products, you're going to have health benefits. There's 2 things I want you to address, actually, now that I thought about that. You and I have had these conversations before about how many years it takes of bad things in the body, exposure to bad things before our body finally has had enough and reacts in the form of a disease or a problem. And so it might take us some years of good health practices and things that can help us before, we can get our body back. I want you to address that. But the other thing is, I know that you and I have had this conversation at this stage of your life, especially. Your reputation is everything. That's what you're going to leave this earth with. We're not leaving this earth with money. We're not leaving this earth with anything other than the legacy we've left behind. What did we do for the good of mankind? And what was our reputation? How will we be remembered after we're gone? And I know it was so important for you that you really wanted to go to Texas and meet with the president, which we did. And I have known Kevin Fournier, CTFO's president, for almost 30 years because I was with him in a previous company to Zango. And I saw the amazing things he did, not just while I was there, but more importantly, after we left, and bringing a juice to market and turning it into $1 billion brand and doing amazing things. But he always did it with such integrity. And he really was very careful on every decision that he made. And I would just love for you to share twofold that question. Sorry, first on the product end of it, like we may have damage or disease in our body that we don't even know about yet. We should probably start combating it right now with better health practices. And it's not that this is the only thing on earth, but it is absolutely an incredible start. And two, why are you here with us on this call and with CTFO? I know at first it was like, you checked it out and saw the potential, but now it's more than that for you. Can you just share that with everybody that's listening?
Well, let's start out with the idea that all chronic diseases, and the word chronic means goes on and on and on. And these are the chronic diseases which kill us here in North America. We do not die. Of course, we can die from other reasons, but it's generally the chronic diseases, the heart disease, the cancer, things like that, which carry us away. And they're all of them related to inflammation. And I should make I think I'll do a presentation about inflammation for people so that they can understand that. And while we have drugs that can look after acute inflammation, we do not have drugs that are safe to take, not even the ones you can buy across the counter, that are safe to take on a continual basis in order to control inflammation. And inflammation, even at a low level, on a constant basis, is damaging the tissues of the body in a way that leads to eventual death. Now, when you can use food, exercise, supplements that are going to give the body the things that they require to not only repair damage which has been done, but to prevent future damage, you're doing something very, very important. And this is, you start someplace, but the process of damage in most of our bodies is very, very far along. I'm sure that on the outside, I've got wrinkles and my hair is falling out. But on the inside, if you could see, there is greater damage than that. And that's the way it is with us. And I remember somebody who had a friend who he'd played golf with the Saturday before, and the man went home, and sitting in his lawn chair on a Sunday afternoon, he died. And I spoke to the person who was his friend, and he said, I was just with him. He won the golf game, and then he died. And I said to him, what killed him was not something that just happened on Sunday. It had gone on for years and years and years. And so you need to change lifestyle, because lifestyle is the bad thing. What we eat and what we don't do in terms of exercise is the reason for these chronic illnesses. And being able to get something from nature that will make a difference, that's great. And that's what we need to do. Now, I went to Texas because frankly, I don't have to work anymore if I don't want to. I continue to work because it's exciting and I like it. And this is this is the information age. And there's more stuff coming out that is pertinent to health and to our welfare and in the area of supplementation now than ever before. In the last decade, there's probably the equivalent of the previous 3 or 4 centuries that has come to light and has been stored and can be accessed. And don't get me on this, because I wonder whether we need universities anymore. If somebody's really, really interested and can read and operate a computer, they may not need to go to university because they're behind the times in the university. It's a nice place to find friends, to socialize, good place to learn how to learn, but the content, not too good. So what I'm saying is I went to see the people involved. And most importantly, I wanted to see the gentleman who was responsible for the decision-making in this new company. And I was impressed. I spent 2 days with him. I met his lovely wife. We were in his home. We spent hours, literally hours, where he made himself available to Collie and I to ask any question that we wished, any question. Now, I've worked with others who were a little bit more discreet about what they would talk about in terms of what they were going to share. He was completely open. And I was very, very favorably impressed and decided at that point in time that we would continue to do the research that I want to know about. But I was impressed because he said something that really struck me. He said, here at CFTO, the only constant is improvement. And I think that is absolutely right on the mark, and perhaps not anything that, or not something that the majority of the executives in the companies today believe. Certainly the people I was working with in the past didn't. They were afraid to change. They were afraid even of improvement. And we've got somebody who is not afraid to change, not afraid to adopt things which are new and better. And I was impressed.
Awesome. You know, I was really impressed too. And one of the things that impressed me the most, this is just an observation I made later, but you know, when we were there, we all, you did, I did, Kevin did, his wife Ellen did, shared personal things in our life that you would never share with a business person or you know, somebody that you didn't feel just really closely tied to that and trustworthy with the information. We all tend to hide anything in our life that isn't worthy of a social media post, but we all shared different things that just made me feel, when I was on my way home and later I thought about this and I thought, this was the kind of thing that normally takes years and years of trust building to develop, a kind of trust that would allow you to share something vulnerable. And we all did. And that was really impressive to me. So thank you for that whole experience. I'm so grateful I was there. All right, we're going to get to the Q&A here.
You know what, Holly? I didn't realize that we had been talking as long as we had, and my blasted, let me go run and get you talk for a minute. I'm going to get a power cord. Hold on.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, that is very important. Well, while Doc is getting the power cord, I'll just take this opportunity to share my screen for a moment, because there's a lot of the questions in here I can answer by doing that. So let me just get directly into our team website. It's lifeasitcouldbe.com. And here, you know, team calls is where every Wednesday, we're doing these calls every week. Next week, Kevin Fournier, the president of CTFO, is going to be on our call. It's going to be Meet the President. It's going to be all about the CTFO business. And so bring all of your people who want to make some money, all your business building partners next week. But the information is always in the team calls when you scroll through all the ways to join, right? And I got several people asking me, what about a phone number to call in? And of course, if you just keep scrolling at the bottom, you get into all the phone numbers and you find something, and even international numbers if somebody wants to join on the phone from an international, but the Zoom links and stuff are there. But what I just wanted to share with you real quickly is sharing this business, sharing this product is really super simple. Just send them to lifeasitcouldbe.com. Tell them to let's scroll on the very main. There's 4 things to look at. So there's all this stuff on the site, and I invite and encourage all of you to click through and read and learn and go to the members section and see how to plug it into all the support and go to all products up, all the stuff. But the things for a guest, for a prospect to look at, they click on product, they're learning about XanthoMyst, that's it. Promotions, that's going to tell you about our promotions. We have a promotion on a 7-pack of XanthoMyst that ends May 31st. By the way, they'll still have packs, but they'll fall into the pricing in the category of their silver, gold, and platinum packs, meaning spending X amount of dollars, you'll save a certain amount and you'll be qualified, but it won't be $399 for a 7-pack, qualifying you to jumpstart the compensation plan as a manager 5. So we got about 5-6 weeks, 5.5 more weeks for that promotion. So we want to make sure we know about the promotions and we take advantage of them. Then the pay plan. Our pay plan is incredible. CTFO pays out. So here's the deal. Some people might look at it and go, they only have 50% CV. True. They pay out 100%, more than 100% of that. So what does that mean? They pay out more than 50% of dollars spent. And I can tell you, logging into my back office and looking at my commission checks every week, and I take my check divided by my volume, dollars spent, not commission value, and I'm over 10%. I've never had anything like that. I've had onesies and twosies, threesies. I think 4% is the most I've ever made ever. Understand the pay plan and how we compare. We've got some powerful things in here. And when you go, you're going to get a short, sweet little 2-3 minute video. And then at the very bottom of that, Kevin Fournier deep dives into the comp plan and explains it all in detail. And then lastly, getting started. I'm going to take a second to just show you the getting started. This is meant for customers. Like, who are you and what are you interested in? So customers and associates, a customer can shop and save, and they can save extra money depending on the size of their first order. Some people come in and just place a giant first order to get, 20, it's actually 25% off of that Smart Ship and Smart Ship. And so some people will get a big order in their first 30 days, then maybe they won't order for a month or two if they're a customer, and then they're going to get on Smart Ship and they're going to save that. So that XanthoMyst 2-pack, it's $134.97 for the first 2 months, but starting month 3 and forevermore, it's $120 for a 2-pack of XanthoMyst, which is incredible. Or our foundational health pack, which is the XanthoMyst, our vitamins and mineral formulation with the 10x pure technology, getting that 10 times the nutrients in the body. And our Super 7, which, by the way, they've had mangosteen for years. In the Super 7, it's 7 superfruits, and it's got all kinds of amazing things there, including mangosteen. So it's a great deal. You actually save like $45 off the individual wholesale prices on this pack. So those are recommended. Anyway, as you go, we've got the good, better, best. If you want to make money, that's associates. So good, better, best, silver, gold, or platinum pack. What does that mean? If I get a silver pack, I'm manager 3 for 30 days, a gold manager 4, a platinum manager 5. Read the details. I don't want to give it all to you now. I just want to say that the XanthoMyst 7-pack, the pricing on it would normally only qualify you as the gold. It's qualifying as a platinum, jumpstarting as a manager 5, getting the most amount of money that you can in the product introduction bonuses, the unilevel, and in the matrix for your first 30 days. And of course, after that, get your 5 people and you stay a manager 5 and then can promote beyond there. So it's amazing. And so we give our pricing and our good, better, best, right? Our good is 2 XanthoMyst 2-packs. The 2-pack, you're going to save money. 2 of them will qualify you at that silver level. And then the better is 2 2-packs and 2 foundational health packs that qualify as a gold. And the best is the 7-pack. It's incredible. It's only 5.5, 6 weeks, whatever it is, it'll be done. And then there's more information here, recommended auto ship, et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, for people just want to get an assortment of all of these amazing products, I put my assortment. I just put a thing that would qualify as a platinum pack. But in here, they got CBDA coffee and they have the Shape and Burn and this keto creamer and these amazing, they have CBD pet treats and they have all kinds of amazing stuff. So take a look at those 4 things. Whenever you send somebody, they're just going to go look at those 4 things. And then when you have your follow-up call, you simply ask them, how would you like to get started as a customer or an associate? If they say associate, how would you like to get started? Good, better, or best? It just this explains it for them, so you don't have to. And then you just ask them, what do they want to do? And it's already been explained by a third party So it takes that pressure off of you. And that's what I wanted to show you. So with that, I'm going to go back to one of the questions is, where will it be recorded? You know what we're going to do on team calls? I think I'm going to put archives. They go on our YouTube channel, and you can find that under members where it says plug in. You're going to plug in to all the things. Plug into the Telegram channel so you get that communication. That's where we're communicating with people. It's a private channel, so there's not a group thing. Nobody knows who's on the channel, but you'll receive important information. So it's there, the Facebook, but here's our YouTube channel where our videos go. All of our team calls are going onto the YouTube channel, but I'm putting them as unlisted, but sharing the links through our Telegram channel. So that will happen, as it always does. But in addition to that, I think this call tonight will go on the archives of our team call page for sure. All right, with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to go back and we're going to ask a couple of these questions. One of them, I get this a lot. Can you get too much XanthoMyst, too many XanthoMyst? We've even had somebody do this ridiculous post about how too much of anything could be a bad thing. And I remember back in the day, like vitamin C was a thing. And I remember learning there's different forms. There was a synthetic form, which too much synthetic vitamin C could cause kidney stones and other bad things because they're synthetic. It was man-made. But too much, the ester C, I remember it being at the time, where it was just, I'm having this vitamin C like I'm eating oranges. My body will take what it needs and it'll discard the rest. And that made a lot of sense to me. And I've heard that about a lot of nutrients. If it's made from whole foods, it's much better than, as long as there's nothing synthetic, which we know this is. But tell us, and by the way, I've been up to 5 sprays a day this whole week. So I've been doing our little test and everything's great. Matter of fact, I have way too much energy now, I think, but other than that, it's fantastic. But people are asking about the dosage, which we're still learning. Kind of address that a little bit and talk about what your recommendations are.
Well, some of the information that I require to be able to speak emphatically about that, I still yet don't have. But the company is getting that information, and I will have it soon. I spoke to them yesterday, and they believe that some of it is with the scientists already, and I'll be able to get that. That will make it easier for me to be able to make recommendations regarding dosage. What I can say is that everybody's body is different. And what one person requires will not be necessarily what all people require. Now, I'm going to be looking at this in a very practical way. We're doing an experiment. It's going to last a month. And we'll be able to tell you if there appears to be an upper limit. Okay, but for the moment, I would suggest you follow the instructions that come with the product of 4 sprays per day. But if you were to take 2 or 3 times that much, you're not going to hurt yourself. That I can say very clearly. But we'll be able to tell you about the upper limit of normal when we've done the experiment that we currently have underway. But for the moment, go ahead and use it. If you notice a change because you've given enough to your body that the body has decided to go down to an inflamed muscle and block some of that inflammation, and you are the beneficiary of a reduced amount of pain, and you want more because you'd like to get rid of all of your pain, well, then increase it in a reasonable manner and use it appropriately with self-experimentation. But don't get crazy with it until we know absolutely exactly what you're getting and in the dosage that we can be very precise about. For the moment, I can't be precise. Dose yourself to effect, all right? But do not go crazy. And by the way, I've heard of some people using it because it will go through skin. I've heard of them using it on their skin. But know this, it isn't made to be used on skin. So even if it seems to be making a difference and may be making a difference in terms of what your body's doing with it when you put it on the skin, it isn't intended for that. But there are all kinds of mangosteen preparations that are in the offing. And these are not anything that the company has not already discussed with me and amongst themselves. So there will be things you can put on your skin. And but one thing, don't stick this anywhere near your eyes. If you decide to spray, I wouldn't recommend you spray it on your face, and certainly don't spray it in your eyes because it will hurt. It's not dangerous, not going to blind you, but it's going to hurt. Just like the shampoo that your mom, didn't keep the washcloth on your forehead tight enough. So you should use it the way it's intended to be used. And we'll be able to be more precise in the future about the rest of it.
Awesome. That is really great advice. I'm going to kind of bullet point some of these other questions and kind of group them together here, kind of on the same lines. So taking it, so people are asking, is it 4 times, 1 time a day? I do it. I was doing 2 sprays in the morning and 2 at night. Now I'm experimenting with Doc to see how much is too much. And so I'm doing 4 sprays to 5 times a day. Don't you do it. This is just something we're doing to see if, there's an issue that we can just be aware of, but 2 sprays twice a day. But when I do it, I love to absorb it in my mouth for a while. And I think it's because when I first started using tinctures years ago, they said, put it in and absorb it, let it absorb before you swallow. And so I'm actually doing a vitamin D spray. I'm doing another vitamin spray. I put 3 or 4 things with my XanthoMyst all in my mouth, and I hold it for several minutes, letting it all absorb, and then I swallow. And
I just remembered now.
Okay.
I probably do 2 more sprays of vitamin D, and I didn't do it. Okay.
Okay, I still got a little spray left. But I'm saying I like to spray all the spray things that I do have with tinctures, whatever, the XanthoMyst, and then hold it for a while. Yeah. Is that good? Hold it for a while, let it absorb as long as possible.
It's going to absorb. It will absorb. The longer it's in contact with the mucosa, more will be absorbed. Now, most of it gets absorbed readily right away, but when you put it in your mouth, the taste will summon forth saliva. And that will give you a little thing that you're eventually going to have to swallow because your mouth will fill with saliva. But yeah, hold it as long as you can and don't spit it out.
I love that, the saliva, because I want the benefit of it going through the gut. I want it to go through so yes, if I only have the spray, I'll do 4 sprays so I get more, and I hold it until I get a lot of saliva, and then I've really got a good amount to swallow, so I get those gut health benefits as well.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to bullet point some of these questions. Is XanthoMyst, does it fall into the category of nutraceuticals?
Yes, it does.
Absolutely. I have people asking about the books of the benefits of mangosteen. So you'll notice on the Life as It Could Be site, I've got Mangosteen MD. And in there, but Doc's son is actually rebuilding the old Mangosteen MD site with all of these wonderful content, with all the books about the benefits of mangosteen and all the audio tapes and all the things that he's ever done, plus all the new stuff that he will be doing. So if you want to talk a little bit about that, they're just asking, can we get access to that information from the past?
Yes. And if my son is on, I don't look and see if he's on.
Okay. I didn't see him before, but I'll look again. I didn't see him unless he's calling.
Remind him, because it's purely a question. I'm asking a lot of favors of my son right now. He's a clever man, but he's got a responsibility of running his own company. He has children, family, and everything else. And so me kind of coming down and asking him for a lot of things right away means that it's not necessarily happening as rapidly as everyone would like, but it will all be there. Now, I'm going to put the stuff on from the past with a caveat, because I could say things back in the past that I can't say legitimately anymore. So we'll put that on as dated material, and you'll benefit, I think, from listening to it. But know that you can't take that and go out and say the same things today. It's not possible.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe there could be some archives with a disclaimer. This
Yeah.
information is 20 years old.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a lot of the usual questions that we normally get. People asking, can I use it if I'm pregnant? Can I use it if I'm nursing? Can my children use this product? Can we nurse? So can you give like the general disclaimer that we should give to people?
Let's wait until we know more about dosing. Leave susceptible populations out for the time being. Now, that would be pregnant, lactating women, and children. Let's leave this out for now. We will be able to give more specific information, but children's bodies are not adults' bodies. And a lactating female is passing information, not information, but passing through what comes into her body, into the body of her child. And pregnancy is a very delicate period of time, not only for the child, but also for the mother. And let's find out what that will be. Now, I say this to pregnant women, and I'll say it out right now because I believe it. If you are pregnant, especially with your first pregnancy, don't start taking supplements you haven't taken before. Even though supplements are not dangerous like drugs are, don't take anything, not because it's going to necessarily hurt you, but pregnancy is a delicate situation that lots of times has problems at the end of the pregnancy that would make you want to rip your hair out and put on sackcloth and ashes. You'd become depressed if something happens to your baby and you think you did something that may have caused a problem. That's a risk you don't want to take. Not because necessarily the element you're going to be ingesting is causing a risk, but the risk of depression is strong after. It's called postpartum depression, one of the most chemical forms of depression, very difficult to treat. Do not invite it because it will follow any complication of pregnancy.
Such great advice. I remember my doctor, who I was very fortunate to have a really good holistic doctor when I went through my very first pregnancy. He said, whatever you've been doing all along, continue to do. Just don't do anything new, not with exercise, not with activities, not with anything. Just you can keep doing what you've been doing, what your body's used to doing. Just don't introduce something new. And that's just wonderful advice. Love it. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to leave everybody with is there's a lot of independent questions in here that I think need to be answered one-on-one. So those of you who ask things that I'm not asking Dr. Templeman right now,
please go to your upline and get me contacted through them. Rather than just helter-skelter calling, go through your upline, if you will. That'll leave it a little bit more organized for me.
All right, that would be great. And one way to do that for you also is you can also reach out to me. The best way to do that through email, and I will put this in the chat, is I have an email specific to CTFO and XanthoMyst, and I would love it if everybody just any communications, if you know my other emails, just don't do that. Life as it could be at gmail.com. That's our team site name. That is the email. You get that to me. You get any questions to me, and I will get those questions answered for you, whether they're about the company, something you want me to ask the company, something you want me to ask Dr. T, you want me to connect him to you personally. Absolutely. We can do that. Send me the emails there. The next thing is just a couple of events I want you to aware of is Super Saturday. CTFO does a once a month Super Saturday. The next one is on April 29th. So not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So April 29th, be there or be square, be on that. Dr. T will be there. And there's some really new, exciting business tools that are going to be introduced at that point in time as well. Now, after that, in May, there's a live event in Connecticut where CTFO corporate people will be, and it's an opportunity if you live up in the northeastern part of the country. I believe that is May 20th. So if you're in the Connecticut area, that would be a wonderful place for you to really meet some people. In June, they have one in Canada. I believe it is June 9th and 10th, I think it's in Calgary. So for you Canadians or people that are up in the northern part of the country, where Calgary is a good location for you. But our team event, and we're going to have, I want you to block out July 7, 8, and 9, because we're going to have some specific team things we're going to add to this. But we're going to have a Super Saturday for all of CTFO will be invited on July 8th. And that's going to be right by the DFW airport. So you can fly into DFW, you can stay at any hotel in that area. It's not going to be at a hotel, it's going to be at a church across from the hotel, right by it. And all those details and how to get tickets and all that are going to come. But that's going to happen. And Dr. Templeman will be there. And your team leaders will be there. And we want you to be there. So we'd love for you to go to the other ones if those are closer to you. But we'd sure love to see you in Dallas. And of course, go to Connecticut, bring some people, start to build your team, send some people to Calgary, and then bring them all to Dallas. And let's really launch this business the way that we have launched businesses in the past together, and spend some time with Dr. Templeman. We are going to have a special event with him just for our team that is not part of the July 8th thing. It might be the 7th, it might be a dinner, it might be the 9th, it might be during the day, but we're going to do something really special for our team with Dr. Templeman. So excited for that. And so with that, Doc, I'm just going to have you give us any kind of closing thoughts or comments that you'd like to make about how you're feeling right now, about what we're bringing to the world, and how people can really make a huge difference in not only their lives, but the lives of the people that they touch.
Well, I have talked with literally dozens of old friends and acquaintances in the past month that I have not talked with in years. And it has been wonderful. And almost universally, they say, these are the good old times. Because when people work together, when they get to know each other, they become special for each other. And for me, this has been just a wonderful experience of finding old friends. And I believe in making new friends. So I'm excited. This is fun. It hasn't become work yet.
No, it has not. And I don't expect we'll call it work for many, 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 many years to come. Thank you, Dr. Templeman, for your time tonight. Love you so much. So excited about this new journey that we've just barely begun together. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and join us next week on our next team call with President of CTFO, Kevin Fournier. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.